So this video's definitely been done before, but I feel like I can still put my own unique spin on it, and I'm also running out of ideas, so I'm doing it. The three best Pokemon types in no particular order are Fairy, Water, and Steel, and the three worst types are Bug, Rock, and Ice, in my Gen 9 VGC-oriented opinion. I've narrowed down 4 main factors that contribute to a type's competitive viability, and I'll loosely be going through each one with each type. What are its inherent offensive and defensive properties? What stab moves does the type get? What are the type's passive effects or field conditions? And does the type have good synergy with other types? Starting with Fairy, it has great offensive properties, hitting 3 types for super effective, being resisted by 3 types, and no types being immune. 3 and 3 is a great balance, especially when those 3 resisted types all share a common weakness to ground. In practice, this offensive combo will very rarely come up on any single Fairy type because very few special attacking Fairy types get Earth Power, and very few physical attacking Fairy types get Earthquake. It can still be used practically in doubles when using one Ground type and one Fairy type, such as Fluttermane and Groudon, which also have great synergy due to their abilities. Defensively, Fairy is also in very good position with 2 weaknesses, 3 resistances, and 1 immunity, tied with Ghost and Water for the second most resistances and immunities total of any type with 2 or fewer weaknesses. Since the 2 types that Fairy is weak to, Steel and Poison, are both more defensive types, offensive Steel and Poison types are less common, with Steel and Poison also being quite rare coverage types. This duality of being threatening offensively and defensively is what makes Fairy's inherent properties quite good. For Stab, Moonblast is signature move level good, being 95 base power, 100% accurate, 15 PP, with a 30% chance to lower special attack by 1 stage, and it's given to most special attacking Fairy types. Dazzling Gleam is a weaker but more common spread move, both of which make for great and consistent options. Where Fairy lacks is on the physical side, with just Play Rough and Spirit Break, with Play Rough being usable for all the physical Fairymons that get it, and Spirit Break being great for its higher consistency. Fairy doesn't have any passive effects, and Fairy's field condition, Misty Terrain, is such a non-factor in its success as it is by far the worst terrain in Gen 9 VGC, but it is still an option if you for whatever reason want to prevent status conditions. As far as it goes for synergy with other types, pretty much every other type in the game is happy to be paired with Fairy. No Fairy dual typing has multiple 4x weaknesses, with the fighting resistance being great for dealing with close combat, the bug resistance being great for dealing with U-turn, the dark resistance being great for dealing with knockoff, and the dragon immunity negating attacks from some of the most powerful Pokemon in the game like Miraidon. As a Terra type, once again the few weaknesses come in very handy, and the resistance to Dark makes it great for mons like Calyrex Shadow, while also being great offensively for mons that get Dazzling Gleam and other Fairy moves as coverage. Water is a type with properties very similar to Fairy, having the same 3 super effective, 3 resisted, and no types being immune on offense. Water is one of the 9 types that resist itself, with it also being resisted by Grass and Dragon, 2 types that share a weakness to Ice. Unlike Fairy, a lot of water types can learn Ice-type moves, making this coverage application much more practical on an individual level than Fairy was with Ground. Defensively, Water has 2 weaknesses to types that are again not typically thought of as being amazing offensively, resulting in an incredibly well-balanced type. For Stab, physical attacking water types have the consistent and reliable Liquidation, with some of them having access to the more powerful Wave Crash. Aqua Jet is a decently distributed priority move, with Aqua Tail, Aqua Cutter, and Razor Shell being decent options as well. Special attackers unfortunately don't have as consistent of options in doubles, since Surf hits your ally, Muddy Water doesn't hit your ally but is inaccurate, Hydro Pump is even less accurate, Weather Ball is rain dependent, Water Pulse is weak, Chilling Water is even weaker, and like no one gets Scald anymore. What really makes Water one of the best types in the game though, is just how good Rain and Terra Water are. Rain is arguably the best and most consistent type-based field condition in the game, and its only real contender is Sun. One of the things that Rain has in its favor over Sun is type and ability synergy in practice. Kyogre sets Rain and is Water type, and most Swift Swim users have their speed doubled in Rain and are Water type, meaning that they will naturally get both Stab and a Rain power boost. Compare this to Groudon and Koraidon, which set Sun but are not Fire type, and all Chlorophyll users except one have their speed doubled in Sun but are not Fire type. Rain also activates more strong moves like Hurricane, Electroshot, and the Genie's moves, as opposed to Sun, which just activates the grass moves Solar Beam and Solar Blade, a type that already has pretty strong move options of Wood Hammer and Leaf Storm. As a Terra type, Water is probably the single best in VGC for the valuable resistances to Fire and Ice and workable weaknesses of Grass and Electric. Grass types love it since they originally resist Grass and Electric, and Water allows them to resist Fire and Ice. When used offensively, it allows Urshifu Rapid and Kyogre to deal massive damage, and while Ogerpon Wellspring doesn't get to choose, Terra Water helps it offensively as well. For the same reasons as Fairy, pretty much every other type in the game benefits from having the Water type, with it also having no dual typings with multiple 4x weaknesses. Steel is definitely the most different out of the 3 best types I chose because its main selling point is entirely defense. It has 10 resistances, 1 immunity, and 3 weaknesses. Pretty much every other type in the game loves being paired with the Steel type, and those types become better defensively in every single way, except for Rock and Ice, since they are the only Steel dual typings with multiple 4x weaknesses. Steel is so good defensively that every single Steel dual typing has at most 4 weaknesses and at least 8 resistances and 1 immunity. Offensively, it's not bad, with no types being immune, hitting 3 types for super effective, but 4 types resisting as opposed to Fairy and Water, which were 3 and 3. 2 of those 3 types, Rock and Ice, aren't super valuable types to hit for super effective, as they are bottom tier types that 6 other types also hit for super effective, so its main offensive selling point is being able to hit Fairy. Steel also doesn't have very many high power stab options, with Iron Head and Flash Cannon being the main physical and special moves. Heavy Slam is a decent option on most physical attacking Steel types, which works since a lot of them are heavy, but the drawback of losing half your health is generally not worth using Steel Beam for most special mons. So unless you have a signature move like Golden Go or Iron Crown, Flash Cannon is really all you got. As passive effects, Steel types are immune to the Poison Status Condition and the chip damage from Sandstorm, neither of which are really game breaking, but nice to have. Something interesting I want to point out though is that while it might sound good in theory, in practice, Steel is actually not that good of a Terra type in VGC, and I might even go as far as to say that it's not good. As Scarlet and Violet's meta has developed, players tend to opt for a Terra type that counters a mon's specific weakness rather than one that counters a general variety of weaknesses that could be common in the meta. In addition to this, it's also become apparent that for a Terra type, having fewer weaknesses is more valuable than having more resistances, so Steel's 10 resistances and 1 immunity are not that valuable since it opens you up to a Fire, Fighting, and Ground weakness, which happen to be the types of some of the strongest Pokemon in the meta. Incineroar can hit you with a 120 base power Flare Blitz, Urshifu and Sneasler can hit you with a 120 base power Close Combat, and Ursaluna can hit you with a 120 base power Headlong Rush. When part of a dual typing that can cancel out some of those weaknesses though, that's when its defensive properties really shine, making it still a great type. Now onto the worst types. Bug probably has the overall worst offensive properties of any type in the game. 7 types resisting and only hitting 3 types for super effective. Those 3 types are not particularly great types to hit for super effective, with Psychic just barely not making this list, as it is in my opinion the 4th or 5th worst type. Grass has 4 additional weaknesses, so being able to hit it isn't super valuable, and Dark is actually pretty decently valuable to hit. Really, the only saving grace for Bug's offensive properties is that no type or ability is immune, and it gets good utility moves that you can't switch into for an immunity. Defensively, Bug isn't bad. 3 weaknesses and 3 resistances is absolutely workable, but with how bad it is offensively, it's not particularly advantageous to be part Bug type. Bug Ice and Bug Grass both have multiple 4x weaknesses, but I don't hold this against Bug that much since even Steel has 2 typings with multiple 4x weaknesses. Bug's stab moves are quite good, with physical attackers getting Pin Missile, Mega Horn, Lunge, Leech Life, and First Impression, and special attackers getting Bug Buzz and Pollen Puff. One of the things that really puts bug types behind is their complete lack of passive effects and field conditions. Along with Normal, Fighting, and Dragon, Bug has no field condition, no field condition immunity, no status condition immunity, and no other passive effect of any kind. So, being part bug type not only does next to nothing for your offense, it doesn't even come with any useful secondary effects, one of the reasons why it's not a great Terra type. Like I said with Steel, Terra types are good for countering a specific weakness either as a type effectiveness weakness or as some kind of status move or condition that could hinder one's game plan. For example, Fire not only gives you useful resistances, but it makes you immune to burn, something that's great for physical attackers. Dark not only gives you useful resistances, but it makes you immune to prankster boosted moves, which is great for support mons. Grass not only gives you useful resistances, but it makes you immune to powder and spore moves, so you can't be put to sleep by a Moongus and have your whole mon shut down. Bug can only offer resistances, which can be useful on certain ground and fighting weak mons like Incineroar, but for the most part, this isn't helping Bug's case as a Terra type, and certainly not as a secondary type. Rock has arguably the best offensive properties in the game. You've probably heard before that if a Pokemon was every type in the game at the same time, it would only be weak to Rock, and this is because Rock is the only type that hits more types for super effective than types that resist it, while also not having any types that are immune to it. Defensively, Rock is absolutely awful, with 5 weaknesses and 4 resistances, making it probably the worst type to be paired with other types. While Steel only has a few bad dual typings, Rock only has a few good ones. 10 out of the 17 Rock dual typings have at least one 4x weakness, with 4 of those having 2 4x weaknesses. In terms of stab moves, Rock has some of the worst options in the game. For some reason, physical attacking Rock type moves aren't allowed to be accurate, and the ones that are accurate are signature moves. There does not exist a single non-signature physical attacking Rock type move with 100% accuracy and more than 50 base power. So, physical attacking Rock types are typically stuck with Stone Edge, Rock Slide, Rock Blast, and Smackdown. Special attacking Rock types aren't doing much better, since they have a total of 3 options: Ancient Power, which is weak and gimmicky, Power Gem, which is solid, and Meteor Beam, which is strong but committal. In terms of its passive effects and field conditions, Sandstorm is alright. It grants a 50% special defense boost to Rock-type Pokemon and chips all non-Rock, Ground, and Steel-type Pokemon by 1/16 of their max HP every turn. Setters include Tyranitar, Hippowdon, and Sandaconda, and it activates the abilities Sand Rush, Sand Force, and Sand Veil. One of the inherent issues with Sand though is that you have to be Rock type to get the special defense boost since the effect is defensive, unlike Rain and Sun where you do not have to be a Water or Fire type to get the Water or Fire type boost since that effect is offensive. So in order to make full use of Sand, you're forced into using one of the worst defensive types in the game, and it can saturate the types you have on your team, giving you more of the same weaknesses. Ice is up there with Rock as having some of the best offensive properties in the game. It hits 4 types for super effective, with 4 types resisting. Fighting and Ground are its best coverage types, but let's be real, Calyrex Ice and Chien-Pao are hard carrying the Ice type in VGC, and they are some of the only ones that can put the combo of Ice Stab and Ground or Fighting coverage to use. Calyrex Ice gets both high horsepower and close combat, and Chien-Pao gets Sacred Sword. Mamoswine doesn't have the speed of Chien-Pao or the bulk of Calyrex Ice, and pretty much the same could be said for Kyurem. Defensively, Ice is somehow even worse than Rock, with 1 fewer weakness but 3 fewer resistances, making it probably the single worst defensive type in the game. Its stab options are good, with special attackers having the very consistent Ice Beam, some getting Freeze Dry, and most also getting Blizzard. Physical attackers get Ice Spinner, Triple Axle, Icicle Spear, Icicle Crash, Ice Punch, and Ice Shard. Ice probably has better dual typings than rock, with Ice Water, Ice Ground, and Ice Electric having such good offense that you can kind of look past its bad defense. This only applies to some really specific pairings though, so in practice, most other dual typings' weaknesses and lack of useful resistances hold them back too much to be good. Unless you're fast like Chen Pao, or insanely bulky like Calyrex Ice, you won't be able to get away with it. Ice is immune to the freeze status condition, but this is such a non-factor since there's no status move that inflicts freeze, and all attacking moves that can freeze except for one of them are Ice type, which Ice already resists. Snow as a field condition boosts physical defense, and it has the same issue as Sand, which is that you have to be Ice type to get the defense boost. It doesn't do anything for offense except make Blizzard perfectly accurate, which is good, but not boosting Ice type moves and not weakening another type's moves makes Snow significantly worse than Rain or Sun. As a Terra type, Ice is almost entirely used offensively, which significantly limits its use cases, and it could only maybe be used defensively on Articuno, since that gets rid of its 4x rock weakness while still maintaining the defense boost in Snow that it wants since it likes to use Blizzard and Snowcloak. And those are, in my opinion, the 3 best and worst types in Gen 9 VGC and the fundamental reasons why. Videos like this have definitely been done before by other creators, and I've certainly done videos on types myself, but I hope it was still interesting enough to be enjoyable. Let me know if I missed the mark on any of these types, or if you think a different type deserves to be mentioned as either the best or the worst. Anyway, if you want to support me and my channel, just leave a nice comment since I do read all comments. You can also become a member for 99 US cents a month to get a badge next to your name and early video access like all of these lovely people. If you want bonus content, check out my second channel, Extra Bell, where I post videos I've scrapped from the main channel as well as more casual unscripted videos. Likes are also one of the ways that YouTube determines if a video should be passed around to more people, so if you feel that this video deserves to be, I would appreciate it. Thanks for watching.